first year, I didn't recruit a single person into my business. And I had a total of 2 customers. One of them was me, and the other one is, if you could guess, yep, my mom. And, you know, what I'm not too proud to share with you tonight, but I'm just going to bare my soul to you. I had to threaten my mom to get her to sign up. I said, if you don't sign up, I'm not coming home for Christmas. And it gets worse. I was marketing a long distance phone service. So not only did she not have to give me money, I was saving people money on a bill they paid anyway, but I still couldn't even get it to work. So like, you want to talk about being like pathetic, that was me. And, you know, I share that with you to start out because I know anytime I do a training like this, and we've got about 100 people on here, I know there's a lot of people on here tonight that are probably in that sometimes dark and lonely place of like, why is this not happening for me? Like, I know what it feels like to really struggle. I know what it feels like to doubt yourself, to question whether you have what it takes. You see all these other people around you that are hitting these different ranks and having this amazing success. And there you are working hard every day. You know, you're a good person trying to show up, but it's not happening for you. Like, I know what that feels like. I've been there so many different times. And I share that with you to start because as I now, almost 20 years later, look back on that beginning part of my story, it's actually the thing I'm most grateful for. And I'm most grateful for that, and I'm most proud of that part of my story because despite all of the challenges and adversity that I was facing, I didn't quit. I kept going. I believed, even though I didn't have any evidence around me that it was possible, I believed deep down inside that there was a bigger reason why I was here. And tonight, I want to hopefully give you a different way to start looking at your business. And I want to give you a different way to start looking at adversity and failure so that you can start to change the conversations that you have around your business. And I'm telling you, if you can do that, it will literally transform your life. But I want to start off by sharing this with you. And this is the thing that I wish somebody would have told me when I first joined. Success is not a matter of doing. It is a matter of being. And the reason why most people aren't successful is all they focus on is the doing. All they focus on is the external, right? They think the reason why their business is not where it is because they don't have the right scripts, or they haven't talked to the right people yet, or that they don't have the right tools, or that, you know, they just can't get enough engagement on their Facebook posts, right? We're always looking outside of ourselves for the solution. And what I want you to understand is this: your external results, and when I say external results, I mean your check, I mean the size of your downline, all the things that you see around you, they are always going to be a reflection of your internal world, of what is inside of you. And when I say that success is a matter of being, who you are being in your business is leadership. That's the thing. See, I didn't look at myself as a leader because I didn't have a team yet. I thought that I wasn't a leader unless I had success or I had a team. But the problem was this. What I learned is it wasn't until I started to look at myself differently and I started to show up as if I already were a leader that I finally started to get the results that I wanted. I can remember one of my early mentors. I would always look at him and I'd be like in awe. Like, maybe some of you can relate to this because you might feel this way about Melissa. Like, we look at these people that are successful and we look at them like they walk on water, like with awe. And I'm like, I just don't understand how they can be so confident and unflappable and unshakable. And it's like, and I just remember saying one time to one of my mentors that I felt that way. I said, you know, it'd be easy for me to be like you if I had what you had. And I remember, I still remember this literally like it happened yesterday. He looked right back at me. He didn't even hesitate. He said, Bob, that's your problem. I said, what do you mean? He said, you're never going to have what I have until you start acting the way that I act. And you see, we have it all backwards, right? We think we'll be more confident and believe ourselves once we have the success. Well, until you do those things, you'll never have what you want. And that's when I say that the internal world is always the thing that's at control in your business. And here's the other thing that I've learned. You will never out-earn the person that deep down inside you truly believe yourself to be. And what that means is this: if you believe that you are not worthy of success, if you have the story that you've created that you're not good enough, that you're not as talented, you're not as pretty, you're not as this, you're not as insert whatever. If you have those beliefs at play, that will always hold you back. It's literally like trying to run a race with an anchor tied around your waist. It doesn't matter how bad you want it. It doesn't matter if you say all the right things or how hard you work. You will always self-sabotage. And look, trust me when I tell you, I wrote the book on self-sabotage. I did that for years, and I never understood. I never understood why the moment something good would happen, I would find a way to screw it up, right? And I never understood that it was the conversations and things that were going on inside of me. And so here's what I want to introduce this concept to you. I want you to start looking at Plexus from this perspective, that your Plexus business is really a character development program with a compensation plan attached to it. And see, I teach a philosophy called legacy leadership. Melissa is in that program, and I know that we have a lot of other legacy leaders here. I see some familiar names and faces. But the core premise of this philosophy that I teach of legacy leadership is that if we can learn how to start focusing on becoming a better version of ourselves, and to me, it's not just about like acquiring the skills, right? Now, I know it's really popular right now in the profession. Everybody talks about going pro, right? You got to go pro. You got to get the skills. And I agree that that's important. You got to have skills. But I don't know about you. I've met a lot of pros in different businesses that they're not people that I'd be too proud to associate with. And what I have found is this, is you can make money in this profession. You're building your business in an unethical way, but you're not going to keep the money unless you are a person of strong moral character and you have values that are guiding your decisions that are ones that people are actually proud of being associated with. So when I say if you can learn how to develop your character, if you can understand that there are certain characteristics that if you can embody will lead you to the results that you want, your business can change in a matter of an instant. So here's what I'm trying to get at here. I want you, when you set a big goal for yourself, instead of first asking, what would I need to do in order to hit that goal? Because this is what we do when we talk about success is not a matter of doing. What I was taught is I've got this big goal. What do I need to do to get there? And I would say, okay, I need to talk to more people. I need to give but the problem was I would start doing the right things and I would always quit long before I got the results because I had this belief that I wasn't good enough. And when I wasn't seeing the results, my mind would say, see, I told you. And then we stop. And this is the reason why people are so inconsistent. If you're inconsistent, it's because you have this playing in your life and you don't realize it yet. Because if you truly did believe that you had everything you needed to be successful, you would still do it even through the no's because you knew it would only be a matter of time before you got the yeses. And here's the other thing. Your self-worth would not be attached to your net worth. The size of your downline and the size of your check would not determine whether you were worthy. You would start from a place of worthiness, which I'll talk about in a second here. But getting back to this idea, every single one of you has an identity for yourself as it applies to your business. And when I say identity, here's what I mean. Your identity is made up of your thoughts, it's made up of your beliefs, and it's made up of the stories that you've created about why your business is or isn't where it needs to be. And most of us that are stuck, it's because we've got these stories and beliefs that we're not good enough, we're not worthy, we're not this, we're not that. And that becomes kind of almost like the parking brake that no matter how hard we work, we never get anywhere. See, if we can wake up to the fact that we have this stuff at play and that's always determining our results, we can consciously start to choose a new identity. But here's the starting point for most of you. See, I believe that the biggest problem that is so pervasive in this profession today is a mindset of scarcity. So many people have a mindset of scarcity that they're not enough and that it's lack. And listen, by the way, scarcity does not just apply to people that are not yet successful. Scarcity also applies to people that are successful. Because here's the other thing I've seen happen so much. I can't tell you how many times I've seen someone get to the top of their compensation plan, reach that pinnacle of success that they thought was going to be everything that they always wanted, that was going to finally bring them the happiness and fulfillment, only to realize when they got to the top that it wasn't ultimately what they were looking for, and they burn out and they're completely unfulfilled. Because here's the thing, when you have a mindset of scarcity, it's never enough. How many times have you hit a goal in your business that was a big deal, only to not even take more than a minute to enjoy it, and all of a sudden it's on to the next thing? That is all born from scarcity. And if you've got a mindset of scarcity, you are always going to struggle. Look, social media has made this even worse, because we live in a society today where it's only natural to be comparing ourselves to others, and it's only natural to look at all of our flaws and things we don't do well and compare it to other people's strengths and things that they do, not even realizing half the time what we think is a strength is just a front. It's not even who they are, right? But here we are, we're stuck in this mindset of scarcity. Now, normally when people talk about scarcity, the next part of the conversation is, well, it's really simple. You just got to step into abundance, right? You got to have an abundance mindset. And what I'm here to tell you is this, is that for someone to go from scarcity to abundance, that is really hard for them to do. Like, if you're struggling with issues of worthiness, for you to start thinking abundantly, like these big goals, it's too far of a leap. There's a middle ground that you really need to step into. And here's what I believe it is. We need to really step into the middle ground of us being enough, of us being worthy, right? Of us really starting to look at ourselves like we do have what it takes to be successful, right? Because if you can start from the foundation of your own worthiness, if you can stop telling yourself the lie that you are not enough, okay? If you can create a new story and a new belief about yourself, that provides the foundation for you to start stepping into a bigger and a higher level of your life. And here's the beauty of this. It is available to you at any given moment. But here's what you need to do. You need to change your story. See, a big part of this philosophy that I teach, called legacy leadership, is founded on this premise. And it's, by the way, it is a much different viewpoint on the business of network marketing than many other people that do what I do have, but it's what I believe, and it's my truth. And I want to share it with you tonight, because I hope in that sharing it might be able to wake some of you up to a much bigger reason why you're here. I believe that your Plexus business is an assignment. And that assignment is from God. And that assignment is for you to grow as a person, to develop the character necessary for success. But here's the rub. You only do that by facing your fear. You only grow through your fears. See, it's not until you stop running from your fears and start having the courage to take action that you finally start to get the lessons that you need to grow. And in the process of us growing, we begin to discover the true purpose for our lives and for our businesses. And look, regardless of your belief system, what I just want you to understand is there is a higher power at play here. It is not an accident that you are here today. It is not an accident that you said yes to Plexus. It is not an accident that you got on this Zoom tonight. I don't know all of you, but here's what I know about you. You are here for a reason. And you know, even though, because think about it, why would you subject yourself to all of the nonsense that we have to put up with, all the skeptical people in the know? Why would you deal with that if deep down inside you didn't truly believe there was something more out there for you? And what I want you to understand is that the purpose for your business is so much bigger than a bonus check, than you hitting the next jewel level, than you paying your bills. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. You should want to do that. Look, you should want to make a ton of money. You should want to make a ton of money, because you want to know what? All money does is make you more of who you are. If you're a creep and you make a lot of money, you're going to be a bigger creep. If you are a good person that is built of strong moral, ethical character, and that you truly want to make a difference in people's lives, you make a lot of money, you can impact and serve and love on a lot of people. See, I believe it is people like us, we have a responsibility to become wealthy because we will take that wealth and we will transfer that and who we have become, and we will change the world together. This is the reason why I love network marketing. There's never been a more powerful vehicle. The world needs network marketing. It just don't know it yet. And if you can start looking at Plexus, not as like Plexus is my identity, or I sell gut health products, or I sell this. And look, I love the products, by the way, I take them, okay? But what I want you to understand is they are a conduit. Your products and your opportunity are vehicles for you to live out a bigger purpose for your life. And I believe that the purpose for our lives is pretty simple. It's for us to love, it's for us to grow, and it is for us to serve. And to the degree that we can do those things, see, what better vehicle do you have than network marketing to love on people and to grow yourself and to serve them? See, because legacy leadership, this philosophy that I teach, it is based on servant leadership, not what most people do, which is self-serving leadership, which is leadership that is based from fear and from scarcity. Legacy leadership is founded from a place of love and giving and truly wanting to make a difference in the lives of other people. And by the way, this is not just stuff that sounds nice, that's good for a Hallmark card. This is the stuff that creates long-term lasting success. This is the reason why Melissa is successful. This is the reason why many of you are successful. But what I want you to understand is this identity that you have, right? Some of you are thinking that you need to act and become a certain person that's not in alignment with who you are in order to be successful. It's simply not true. You need to have alignment, who you are in your spiritual life, in your family life. That needs to be aligned with who you are in your business. Because if you think you need to become someone that you're not, you're always going to be at odds with yourself. You're always going to have an internal resistance. So if you can start showing up, right? If you can be rooted in the love that you have for yourself. And by the way, let's just, I did a post the other day on social media that a lot of people decided they liked, so I'm going to share it with you. Every single time you do not acknowledge your own worth, that is a slap in the face of your loving creator. I did a podcast episode, it's called God Don't Create No Junk, right? Whether you believe God, universe, I don't know what you believe. I believe what I believe, but I just want you to understand that you have what it takes. If you're willing to show up and be rooted in that, it will really, really make a difference. Because here's the thing, if you're rooted in a scarcity mindset, you won't give. You won't give long enough. You'll only give with the expectation of getting something in return. It's always going to be a quid pro quo. See, if you start from a position of love, you'll just give because that's who you are. It will be an outflow of you. And the beauty of that is when you start showing up that way, that's when the things that you want start showing up in your life. Right? Or at least if that's the plan that God has for your life. But I know this, you got a much better chance of getting it if you do the stuff that I'm talking about. But let's shift gears here and let's talk a little bit about what I really believe to be a big issue for people. So one of the biggest things that I hear from a lot of my students is that they say, I just struggle with failure. I have a fear of failure, right? I'm afraid of failing. And I want to give you a different way to look at that tonight. And I want to actually make an argument that failure doesn't exist. That failure is actually a construct of your mind. That failure is only failure if you decide that's what something means. See, but part of our story is this, is that we look at these things in our life and our business that don't go the way that we expected them to. I'll come back to that in a second. And we see these things as evidence of the fact that it's a failure. See, I told you I'm not good enough. It's like this self-fulfilling prophecy. See, but when you can start from a position of being enough and worthiness and being rooted in that, and here's the other key. You need to learn how to trade your expectations for appreciation. I'll guarantee you this, any area of your life where you have pain or suffering, you had an expectation of how something should have went or how someone should have acted towards you or what someone should have said or done, and that expectation was not met. Unmet expectations are the biggest thief of joy in your life. And if you can learn how to stop expecting and start appreciating what you do have, here's what you learn. Whatever you focus on will grow. If you focus on what you don't have, you'll get more of that. If you focus on the little things in life that you do have, if you can start practicing gratitude and appreciation, that is the fastest route out of the scarcity mindset. It is literally impossible for you to feel grateful and afraid at the same time. Those two things cannot exist in the same space. So if you start forcing yourself to look for the good, even if you don't have the results that you want, look at yourself. Have you become a better version of yourself? See, because a lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for the person that we're becoming in the pursuit of our dreams. We only think it's about the results that we want. You start being more grateful, it opens up the space for this stuff to come into your life. But here's the thing I want you to do. I want you to start looking at failure differently. When you take action, I want you to realize one of two things happen. You either get the result that you want, which is good, right? Eventually, we hope someone's going to say yes. I mean, that's kind of the reason why we're here. But how many of us figured out a way bigger percentage of people will not say yes than say yes? That's the struggle we have. Like if we knew with absolute certainty that every person we talk to would say yes, we would never have a problem talking to another person the rest of our life. But we don't, because we know that that's not true. We know that we can't control what other people do. And anytime we don't feel in control, we start getting afraid. Even the thought of us not being in control causes fear. See, some of you, even if you think about reaching out to someone, you start feeling fearful just with the thought of it. You don't even have to do it. But here's the thing that keeps us stuck, is that we view this wrong. So here's how I want you to reframe this. When you take an action, you either get the result you want or you get something that is 100 times better. You get the lesson that you need. And what I am here to tell you tonight is this. If you are not where you want to be in your business right now, it is for this reason and this reason only. You have not gotten the lessons that you need to go to the next level in your life. See, what I've learned is this. We only learn and grow through our adversity. We only learn and grow through the no's, through what you call failure. See, if you're rooted from a position of worthiness and being enough, you're less afraid of what you call failure because it's not a reflection on your self-worth. It's just something that you go through. When you understand that, the no's will give you the lessons that you need to grow and become more. Here's what you'll understand. The more no's you get, the faster you get them, the more you grow, the quicker you'll actually get what you want. But it is your unwillingness to embrace the no's. That's what is keeping you from the success that you want. These two things go together. One of my early mentors taught me this concept that always stuck with me. He said, Bob, I want you to think of opportunity and success like a two-sided coin. And on one side is everything that you want in your life. And I remember him saying to me, you got some big goals and dreams, don't you? And I said, absolutely. He said, well, then it's a really big coin. I said, yeah. He said, well, here's the problem. I'm going to flip the coin around. And on the other side of that coin, in direct proportion to everything that you want, is everything you are not going to want to do to get what you say you want. See, those two things will always be in direct proportion. You got big goals, you got to go through a lot of stuff. You know, I learned this from Tony Robbins. It changed my life. Tony Robbins says that the quality of your life will be in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably handle on a daily basis. See, everything you've ever wanted in your life lies in the realm of uncertainty. But we try to do everything we can to feel certain, to be in control, to never step outside our comfort zone, to not be vulnerable. What if it doesn't go the way we want? What if they say this? What if they tell me it won't work? What if they try the products and get sick? What if they turn them in? What if they do this? If we're not in control, we don't do it. Not realizing that embracing all this stuff is what's going to bring you what you want. And what if this? What if everything that's happening to you in your life right now is happening to you for a reason? See, if you can start looking at the challenges and the adversity through the lens of a bigger purpose for your business, like I shared with you earlier, here's what you realize. That your biggest problems and challenges are actually also your greatest gifts. because those are where you grow. And your challenges, like in my first year, my first couple of years of going, like literally having little to no success, like just saying to God, God, why is this not happening to me? I don't get it. I'm a good person. I'm working hard, right? I didn't understand that all of these things were put in my life for a reason. I didn't realize at the time that God doesn't give us what we want. He gives us what we need at that moment in our life to grow, to get the insight, right? To be able to spiritually develop ourselves, to develop stronger character. See, because what you don't realize is you say you want all this success, but even if God gave it to you, you wouldn't be able to keep it because you haven't become the person that you need to be to support the success. And that only comes through the challenges. So be thankful for them. Understand that this is all part of your story. Look, when I tell my story, I don't talk about all the money that I've made and how much success I've had. Look, this profession has changed my life. I've had a lot of success, but I don't talk about that because that's not what people relate to. People relate to the dirty stuff, to the dark side, to the struggle, to the challenges. That's why I spend so much time talking about that, because I know if I can connect with you through my pain and my suffering, that gives me the bridge to build you up and inspire you to go to another level of your life, and you will do the same thing. See, because if you can make it on the other side of that pain, on the other side of those challenges, that's part of the purpose of your life. So you can help coach other people through pain and suffering and challenges. So you can know what it's like to walk in their shoes. All of this stuff is preparing you for something so much bigger if you can just keep moving forward and not quit. Show up every day, do the hard work, and understand this truth, which is the last thing I'm going to share with you, and then I want to make sure we take some time for questions. Here's what I believe to be one of the biggest reasons why people don't succeed. It's because success is boring. Success is boring. Like, do you know how boring it is to do and say the same exact thing over and over again every single day? Send the same messages, answer the same questions, handle the same objections, use the same videos, hand out the same products, talk about this. Look, leadership is repetition. Leadership is saying the same things over and over and over again, hoping and praying that your team gets it. They don't listen. You keep saying it till you're literally blue in the face. You're like, I can't even hear myself say this one more time. And then and only then do they finally start to get it. This is the way that success is created. It's showing up, doing the little things every day, day in, day out. Greatness lies in consistency. That's it. The key to greatness is consistent effort. It's doing the little things. It's not focusing on the results. It's not tying your self-worth to your net worth. It's going out and doing the same things over and over, having the faith that if I show up, that eventually I'll get what I want. And even if I don't, my greatest gift is the person that I'm going to become, which, by the way, I used to kind of roll my eyes when I would hear people say, the greatest gift you will ever get is the person you become. And I remember thinking, easy for you to say, I'm broke. Until I finally made the money and realized what they were saying was actually true. The greatest gift you will ever get through Plexus is the person that you become in the process of building the business. So here's the secret. If you can embrace that and be grateful for that throughout the process, it will accelerate the results that you actually want. So, Melissa, that's what I had kind of written down, planned to share. So I wanted to make sure that we left plenty of time to take some questions and stuff. So I'll kick it back over to you and we can go wherever you want to go from here.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I saw lots of nodding of heads, lots of amens that couldn't be heard because you're muted. And Bob, you're so right. I mean, the whole repetition as a leader, I mean, how many times have you said the same thing, right, to us? Yep. And it takes us over and over and over again. And even tonight, you said some things that I've heard you say, but like it just clicked for me. And I think that piece is amazing. And the piece that we have to embrace, guys, is not only being a great student, but then turning around and sharing that and sharing the systems and how to do it over and over and over again. Because we automatically think if they've heard it once, that they've heard it. And we just haven't. We haven't.
Totally. And hey, Melissa, let me mention this real quick before I forget. I actually, if y'all get any value out of tonight, this is like a small sliver of some of the content that I teach. And I'm going to actually be doing a live event next month in Dallas, Texas. It's called the Impact and Growth Summit. So if any of you are up for a road trip and you want to come to the event, it's a 3-day training. We're going to have lots of Plexus people. We actually have 2 Plexus leaders speaking from stage. Emily Gibson and Brooke Hemingway are going to be talking about leadership. We've got a lot of incredible people, but if you're interested in seeing what the event's about, you can go to impactandgrowthsummit.com. I'll put that in the chat. And I also have a discount code if you're interested in attending. You can get $100 off your ticket if you use the code SUMMIT2019. So I'll put that in the chat for any of you that might be interested in checking that out and maybe joining us for the event.
That's excellent. Okay, I will definitely be there, so I hope some of you guys will be there as well. But I want to open it up for any questions, and we're just going to take a few minutes. So please don't hesitate and ask those questions. Don't be shy.
You can type your question too if you're in an area that's like a little noisy or something. So either way.
Anybody?
I just want to say I appreciate what you do. I've been listening to your leadership seminar also, and I am like scared out of my mind in doing this, and I want to try so hard, but like you said, when I don't get the reaction that I want to get, kind of like, oh well, I guess I really am not supposed to do this. But then I listen to you again, and it's like, okay, I do want this. And just when you said, it's like to say that I'm worthy to be the person I want to be, struck a chord with me. And but just to get past that fear is really hard.
Yeah,
it's to that point.
No, and Kim, I appreciate you being willing. I mean, this is probably not an easy thing for you to do right now, right? So I applaud your courage, and I think that this is an example of what we need to do. Is we need to be courageous. And here's the secret that not a lot of people tell you. The fear is always there at some level. It's just recognizing that fear is actually a sign that in our business and in our life, most of our fears are irrational fears. They're not rooted like, me. I remember the first time I did a live video, I literally felt like I was going to die when I pressed go live. Like my body literally felt like but it was an irrational because I didn't die. Right. And so most of the fears we have in our business are irrational fears, but irrational fears are actually a sign. It is your fear that directs you down the pathway of your purpose. See, I want you to think of this analogy. Most people, when, the purpose is such like it's like such a thing, like you can't put your arms around. Like, I don't understand, what's my purpose? Well, you don't have to know your big purpose from the starting point, because purpose is something that you learn as you're in the process of going and living your life. What you need to do is you need to identify your fears. Because if you can just keep stepping into your fear, they are like the lights on the pathway of your purpose. And here's the thing that I've learned. Sometimes your biggest fears are actually reflection of the greatest gifts that you have inside of you. And I am the living example of this, because one of my biggest fears almost my entire life, and I'm talking about like a debilitating fear for me, was speaking in public. I would not, to the point where I literally would not even raise my hand in class and give an answer. If I was the only one in the class, every single person in the class answered it wrong, and I knew it, and I knew it, I wouldn't raise my hand because I hated the sound of my own voice. And what I didn't understand is that fear actually was connected to a gifting that I was given. And it wasn't until I joined a network marketing business and was finally, that's the thing is, you can't run from your fears in this environment. And that's one of the best parts about this is like we eventually realize if we want to make it, we got to start facing our fears. And it wasn't until I faced that fear consistently that I started to discover this gift that I had. And it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was something I developed over time, but the seedling of it was hidden inside of my fear. So I'm sharing that with you because I want you to understand if you're feeling really fearful, it's probably because this is the path that you were meant to be on, right? There's a reason why you're here. What you have to learn how to do is you have to learn how to start becoming responsible for your thoughts. See, the price of greatness is responsibility. And when I say responsibility, I mean literally you become responsible for every single thought that you entertain in your mind. See, your mind is like a garden. And the natural state of a garden, if it's left untended, is weeds. Weeds are the negative thoughts of your mind. If you do not pay attention to your thinking, your mind has been conditioned. It's not our natural state, but we've been conditioned to think negative and to doubt. So if you're not paying attention to your thoughts and you're not consciously choosing them, that's going to lead you down the path of negative thinking and negative beliefs. And then what'll happen is it's something called confirmation bias. Your mind, it's a biological thing. If you have this belief that you're not good enough, all you will see is evidence of that thing. It's like when you buy a red car and what happens? All you see is red cars. Well, does that mean the red cars weren't there? No, you just didn't notice them because you didn't have a red car. Well, guess what? Things are happening to you in your life that would support the belief that you are enough and that you are worthy. You just don't see them because you're not looking for them. See, if you can plant a different thought in your mind, if every single day you can wake up and tell yourself, I am worthy, I am good enough, force yourself to think differently, start expressing gratitude, you will start to notice the things that were right in front of you that you never saw, and that will start to compound and you will start to attract more of that. But make no two ways about it, Kim, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle for you, but you can change it and you can start to make things come in your favor. It just takes consistent effort. See, here's the thing now is you don't have the excuse anymore because now you've woken up. Now you are conscious of the fact that you do that. It doesn't mean you won't do it, but it just means now you're going to call yourself out. You'll have to choose whether you make the necessary changes.
Wow. Okay, Kim, I'm super proud of you for doing that because I know that was hard. I'm so proud of you. Bob,
so Kim, think of this. You need to start doing things that are so out of character for you. This was probably something like you'll probably get off and you'll be like, I can't believe I did that, right? You need to do that every day because the character, your identity of who you are, the way you see yourself is kept you stuck. If you start just totally doing things that are so out of character for you, so crazy for you, every single day, scare you to death, here's what's going to happen. Over time, that will just start to become who you are. You'll just be like, well, this is kind of who I am. I do crazy stuff. I talk to people. I put myself out there. You will slowly create a new empowering identity that will allow you to go to where you want to go. So I applaud you for doing this. You just need to do more crazy stuff like this every day. And you'll slowly start to think of yourself and look at yourself differently.
Absolutely. We've got a lot of questions in the chat. So here's a couple. Some tips to changing a scarcity mindset to enough mindset. What are some good practical steps to take?
Well, the number one practical step I can give you, as I've been talking about it all night, is gratitude. Mm-hmm. Gratitude is the quickest way to get out of a scarcity, not enough mindset. Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing, whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you focus on, you'll attract more of into your life. And that confirmation bias thing kicks in. If you're holding and focusing on good things in your life, if you're appreciating instead of expecting, that creates the space for those things to grow. Gratitude is also the gateway drug to more joy and motivation in your life. It is literally impossible for you to feel grateful and fearful at the same time. So now here's the thing though, gratitude's not easy. Like you've been so conditioned to look for the negative, it's actually hard sometimes for you to find good things. Like it takes a week or two of doing this to even start to make it like show up in your life. But I'm telling you, there is nothing you can do that will transform you quicker than this very thing. I've seen people, we teach this inside of our program, our Legacy Leadership Academy. I've literally seen people like physically change in front, like was on a training call with them and they were really just kind of stuck in their story, right? Their identity of who they thought they were. And they started this process of choosing their thoughts, of practicing gratitude. And I get on a Zoom with them 2 weeks later, and I'm literally like, this is not the same person. Like they're physically holding them, like they're vibrating differently because they're starting to change everything about themselves. So you want to get out of scarcity, force yourself to find the good every day. And here's the secret. It's the little things. It's the little things. That's the thing that's most powerful. If you can start noticing the little things in life, that's what creates the platform for the bigger stuff. So you want to get out of scarcity, start practicing gratitude, start becoming conscious of the way that you talk to yourself, and start choosing a different story. Look, you've made all this stuff up. Your story of not good enough, all that is your interpretation of things that have happened to you in your life, right? Somebody said no to you, somebody left you, somebody did this, and you decided that that meant you weren't good enough. You attached your own self-worth to that external thing. That's the reason why you can have two, you see this all the time. You'll have two siblings that grow up in the same abusive environment. One of them goes on to perpetuate that abuse. The other one goes on to live a totally different life. And when you ask them, why do you think you are where they are? They'll both attribute it to their upbringing. They'll say, well, how could I not be this way? But it's a different interpretation of the same event. See, you get to choose that story. Start choosing a different story for yourself, one that will empower you to be able to move forward towards the achievement of your goals and dreams in your life.
Wow. Okay, a lot of questions around the middle ground, the scarcity between scarcity and abundance. One question that's coming across is, as a leader, how do you respond to negative feedback? And that negative feedback, it looks like, could be from your team, about the company, the products, the opportunity, even leadership. So how do you overcome the negativity?
Yeah. So I'll answer it a couple different ways. I don't really respond at all to negative feedback from negative people about prospects. Look, I'm going to save you all a lot of time and frustration. One of the most pointless things you'll ever do in your life is trying to convince somebody that network marketing is a good, viable opportunity. Mm-hmm. You come across somebody that's negative towards this profession, you will completely waste your time trying to convince them otherwise. So I spend very little, if any, time trying to handle criticism or feedback, as they want to call it, from negative people. Now, if I've got someone, now here's the thing though, you've got to be able to discern the feedback. Because sometimes if you're getting feedback from someone that you value their opinion, and maybe the feedback is coming from the fact that you are operating your business not in the best way. So like if you're being super spammy and you're an infomercial and you're selling all the time and you're copy and pasting, prospecting them and just like, and you get feedback and them saying, hey, that might not be the best business practice. That might make you angry, but there also might be a kernel of truth inside of that piece of feedback. So your job is to be able to discern where the feedback is coming from. And here's the thing I always ask myself is there a kernel of truth in this? Because sometimes it really hurts for us to hear that, but if we're honest with ourselves, and once again, I mentioned earlier about scarcity, leaders that operate from a scarcity mindset, they will never grow from that because they'll always view it as an attack on themselves. See, here's the thing, even when I would I'll give you a good example. Let's say that someone in my downline gives me some negative feedback about the way that I lead. Well, my first reaction from a scarcity standpoint is to immediately take that as a threat. It's an attack, right? Let me get the claws out and we're going to kind of go to battle here, because it's always like, well, what do you mean, right? Well, a leader that comes from a place of worthiness and from the foundation of love, they receive the feedback, right? They don't react. And they always ask themselves, is there a kernel of truth in here? Is there a lesson? Is there something that I could have done differently? Because what we eventually realize is we can't change other people. All we can ever do is change how we are in relation to other people. And sometimes when we change how we are and we show up different in relation to other people, that's the very thing that actually winds up changing them. But we try to control others. So I always want to know, is there a kernel of truth here? But if I have determined that this is just somebody that is trying to be negative or trying to be, dismissive of me or knock me down, I don't pay any attention to it. I really don't. Because I have found that the more time I spend in that kind of negative space, all it's going to do is draw me in and draw me down. If I've got someone on my team that's being negative, I need to make sure I step in and nip that right in the bud. Because you have a couple of negative people on your team, if you don't point out to them how that's not conducive to their own success, that can become like a virus and it could spread throughout your team. But how you handle it also says a lot about you as a leader. See, I'm going to give you another example. I'm going to just give you some common examples of things that I see people do. This is an unfortunate part of our business, but it's also, by the way, a part of any business. But it's a big part of the world we live in today because we are connected through social media in a way we never were. If this hasn't happened to you, it will at some point. Trust me. Eventually, someone on your team that you thought was a leader will leave and go somewhere else. They will go to another company. They will decide that this business is not for them. This is a natural part. These happen. What I see happen a lot of times is leaders that have a scarcity mindset, they immediately view that as a personal attack on them. And they go on defensive mode and they start trashing that person. If they were their friend one day and then all of a sudden they're like talking bad about that person. And the thing that I want you to understand is the way that you handle the adversity and the challenges on your team will say more about your character and who you are as a leader than how you handle the successes. I look at adversity as an opportunity to demonstrate my character to my team. If you don't fall into the drama, if you don't, toss mud and name call people and badmouth them, if you don't, get pulled into the arguments, if you always acknowledge what's happening, but always do it from a place of integrity and focusing on how do we get through this and how do we move forward, that is the thing ultimately that's going to lead to your success as a leader. Because when bad things happen, your team is watching to see the way you handle it. And when you handle it in a different way than maybe they would have thought, it strengthens their resolve in you as being their leader, right? It strengthens the belief that this is the person that we need to follow. And all of this is not the easiest stuff for us to do, but in my mind, they're all opportunities for us to grow and for us to demonstrate to our team the type of leader that we really are.
Sorry, I was muted. There we go. One more question, maybe two. We have one here. What would you say to someone who is a people pleaser and is afraid to share with others because of that?
Yeah. Okay. So this will be a good time to introduce another concept that we teach. So we teach. We have this concept because, this is. By the way, this is an example of a story. So I don't see the name, but I appreciate them being honest. The story that they've created is that they're a people pleaser, and that's the reason why they're not successful, right? It's all a story. What we wind up doing is this. We wind up creating either what we call red light stories or green light stories. So a red light story is something we create that keeps us from taking action. And we come up with these kind of elaborate interpretations of who we are and what we do. It's really all just a masked veil for us to not admit that there's really just fear there and we're afraid. We're afraid of taking action. And I'll tell you where the fear comes from, because a lot of people will say, I fear failing. I think that's very rarely the case. The fear is really that I actually try and give it my all and I'm not enough. So if I just sit here and I say I'm a people pleaser or I'm afraid of failure, that stuff sounds kind of cute. It sounds nice. It doesn't force me to have to get into the real stuff that is at play. What's really at play is, what if you showed up, gave it your all, and it didn't work, and that was proof that you weren't enough? Or it's stemming from, it's not so much that you're afraid of failure, you're just afraid of not having success and having other people see you not have success. So it's really a fear of other people's judgments about you and your business and what you do. And I just have found that, you'll not accomplish much of anything in your life caring about what other people think about you and what you do. because they're going to have those opinions and judgments anyway. So the last thing you want to do is let your dreams die because of what other people think about you and your business and what you do. And to address the other thing is, if we can start from a place of worthiness, then we know that even if we go out and we do it and we don't get the results that we want, it doesn't mean that we're not enough, because we are enough just because we are. So I think it's first and foremost, it's understanding that this is just a red light story that's keeping you from probably taking action consistently to get you to where you want to go. Part of it is probably stemming from the whole opinions, like other people's opinions of what you do. You just have to learn to let go of that. I mean, look, it's a really hard thing, letting go of other people's opinions, but let me give you a different way to look at it. Because we have we live in such an egocentric world today. And whether we want to realize it or not, we all have egos, and we all have this kind of false sense that the world revolves around us. And this is never more evident that, like, when you tell somebody to post something on social media and they're like, oh, I can't put myself out there. I can't do a live video, because we have this false pretense that, like, everybody we know is going to see it. And, like, they're going to be sitting around the water coolers like, did you see so-and-so? They did a video. I can't believe they did that, right? We think the world revolves around us. This is our ego. This is what our ego does. Our mind tricks us. And we're so fearful of that, we don't take action, when really, here's the real deal. And if nobody's ever said this to you, then I just need to say it to you right now. You're not really nearly as important as you think you are. And by the way, I'm not as important as I think I am, because you want to know what most people really feel about us or care about us? Not much. Like, that thing that you did, that you, like, literally agonized over for weeks and weeks because of what are they going to think? Look, you did it and it happened, and 5 seconds later, they weren't even thinking about you anymore. Because you want to know what? They're so caught up in their own egocentric world. But we let this literally keep us from every opportunity we could ever have in our life. Other people's opinions, other people's judgments. If we can start viewing it through that lens, we realize how silly it is. They don't really ultimately care about you, and they're going to think very little of you. So if that's the case, why not go out, give it your all, put yourself out there, and give yourself a chance to create the life that you deserve to live?
Okay. Do you have time for just one more?
Yeah, we do one more question. Yep.
Okay, one more. So this person, their Facebook is really just friends and family, so it's more private. It's not public. And they are asking, since most of their followers currently are close friends and family, things like that, they're wanting to know how they can add followers so that they can reach out to those people personally. What would be your tips for them?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is you can't. So there's two different ways. There are people that are on social media, and then there are people that are using social media for their business. Most people are just on social media. They're not really using it intentionally. And what I will tell you is, you cannot use social media having accounts that are completely private. It's very difficult to do. Now, here's the workaround for Facebook though, okay? The beauty of Facebook and Instagram is different. Instagram, you have to have a public profile. You literally will never be successful on Instagram with a private account. You just won't ever. Facebook, you can get away with it because you can have a private account and you can choose to set individual posts to public. So, like, if you're afraid of somebody seeing your children or just personal stuff that you don't want out there, you can leave all that stuff private and only people that are your friends will see it. But if you want to do a live video or you want to put a post out there that's like considered marketing, like trying to attract people to you, you can set those individual posts to a different privacy setting. Now, you may decide you don't want to do public because you don't just want a bunch of random people, but here's what you could do. You could set your privacy setting to friends of friends. So that if somebody shares, like if you do a video and one of your friends is like, oh, that's really good. If they share it and it's a private video, no one will see it unless they're a friend with you. But if you change your privacy settings so that if they share it, all of their friends can see it. So it's almost like going out one additional layer. It's kind of like still protecting yourself, but you're opening yourself up to be able. That's kind of like a good middle ground. And that to me is one of the benefits of a Facebook over some of these other platforms where you're either public or you're not. So you can definitely do that. You just have to be intentional about the posting that you're doing and the privacy settings that you're using for those posts.
Great.
And by the way, like, all of you should just know this. You're not going to get to the top level of this company. You're not going to hit diamond just on the people that you know right now. That's not going to happen. Eventually, any person that has ever become a professional and reached like extraordinary high levels, they've acquired the skill of meeting new people, building a relationship, and converting that person into a sale or a recruit. Yeah. It is, the sooner you realize that that is a skill every one of you must have. Now, here's the beauty. You can build the foundation of your business, have success, develop your confidence and belief on people that you know. And some of you even go further. Some, like, there are some lucky ones that do it just on people that they know. And we, let's be honest, like, we hate those people, right? Like, we don't like them at all because we're like, I don't get it. It's not fair. We don't hate them. That's not a nice thing to say. But we don't look as favorably on them as we do the other ones. Eventually, you're going to have to learn how to grow your network, meet new people. That's the beauty of social media, is you can control the way that you do that to a degree if you use the tools that you have.
Excellent. Bob, thank you for your time. So appreciate you. Guys, a couple of things. Impact and Growth Summit. He gave you the information right here. If you're on my team page, I'll put that out there as well. That's in, goodness, it's in about 3 weeks, I believe. Also, if you are not signed up for convention, please sign up. He'll be our keynote speaker for that. You can always catch him on Virtual Upline as well, that podcast. Bob, thank you. Guys, thank you for being on this call. I'm super proud of y'all. It's been a great, great month, so y'all finish strong. And appreciate everything you do, Bob.
Yep. Thanks for having me, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.